The shuttle docked with Zenith Prime at exactly 1400 hours. Jack Harper stood at the viewport, watching the massive station grow larger as they approached. It was beautiful in a cold way. All silver metal and glowing lights floating in the darkness between stars. This place was supposed to be neutral ground, where different species met to talk instead of fight. Jack had read all the reports. He knew every corridor, every meeting room, every exit. That was just how his mind worked, even after all these years. He adjusted his gray diplomatic suit and checked his reflection in the dark glass. A man in his 50s stared back with tired eyes and silver hair at his temples. He looked like someone who spent too much time in meetings and not enough time sleeping. That was exactly what he wanted them to see. The airlock hissed open. 2 Krillian guards waited outside, their forearms crossed over their armored chests. They were tall, maybe 8 feet, with skin like rough stone and eyes that glowed faintly orange. Jack had studied their species, strong, proud, and convinced they were better than everyone else. "Earth Envoy," one of them said, the translator device turning his growls into flat words. "Follow us. The council is waiting." Jack smiled his diplomat smile and nodded. "Of course. Thank you for the escort." They walked through corridors wide enough for 5 humans to stand side by side. Other species moved past them. Some looked like insects, others like liquid metal barely held in shape. A few watched Jack with open curiosity. Humans were still new to this part of space. Earth had only made contact with the greater galaxy 15 years ago. 15 years since Jack Harper had been someone else entirely. The council chamber was enormous. 50 species sat in a circular arrangement, looking down at the center floor where Jack would stand. The lighting made sure everyone could see him clearly, while he could barely make out their faces. Another power play. Jack had seen it all before. "Commander Jack Harper of Earth," a voice echoed through the chamber. "You stand before the Galactic Council to present your species' petition for membership." Jack walked to the center and placed his datapad on the speaking podium. "Thank you, honored council members. Earth is grateful for this opportunity." He began his presentation. He talked about Earth's achievements, their technological advances, their desire for peace and cooperation. He showed videos of human cities, human art, human families. He explained how humanity had unified after meeting alien life, putting aside old conflicts to present themselves as worthy partners in the galactic community. The council members listened in silence. Jack could feel their judgment, heavy and cold. When he finished, there was a long pause. Then a Krillian stood up. His armor was more decorated than the guards, marking him as someone important. "We have reviewed Earth's petition. We have also reviewed your history." Jack felt something tighten in his chest but kept his face calm. "Your species is violent," the Krillian continued. "You have spent most of your existence fighting each other. Even now you maintain weapons capable of destroying your own planet. You claim to seek peace, but we see only predators learning to hide their teeth." "With respect," Jack said carefully, "every species has a difficult past. We're not asking the Council to forget our history. We're asking you to see what we're trying to become." Another alien stood, this one from the Vex Collective. Its body was partially mechanical, with glowing circuits visible under translucent skin. "The question is not what you're trying to become. The question is what you truly are underneath." The session continued for 3 more hours. Jack answered every question, addressed every concern, remained patient and polite even when they were not. This was what he'd trained for. This was why they'd sent him instead of a younger diplomat. Jack knew how to stay calm when others wanted him to break. Finally, the head counselor called for a vote. Jack stood in the center of the chamber and waited while 50 species decided humanity's future. The vote was unanimous. Denied. Jack took a slow breath. He'd expected this, but hearing it still felt like a punch to the gut. All those years of preparation, all of Earth's hope, rejected without discussion. However, the head counselor continued, "We are not without mercy. Earth may still join the galactic community. Under conditions, here it comes," Jack thought. Earth must dismantle all military spacecraft. Earth must accept a Galactic Council Oversight Committee to govern your world's development. Earth must provide resources and labor as tribute to cover the costs of integrating such a primitive species into civilized space. The chamber was silent. Jack felt every eye on him watching for his reaction. They wanted Earth to surrender, to become a servant species. This wasn't diplomacy. This was conquest with paperwork. I need to consult with my government, Jack said quietly. You have 6 hours, the Krillian ambassador said. There was something like amusement in his voice. Consider carefully. These terms are generous. Refusal would be most unwise. The session ended. Jack walked out of the chamber with the same calm expression he'd worn throughout. The guards escorted him to a waiting area, a small room with a window showing the stars outside. As soon as the door closed, Jack sat down and closed his eyes. His hands were shaking slightly, not from fear. From the effort of holding everything back. He'd been Jack Harper, career diplomat for 15 years. Before that, he'd been someone else. Someone Earth's government tried very hard to make people forget. They'd buried his service record under layers of classified files. They'd given him a new life, a chance to be the peaceful face humanity wanted to show the galaxy. But some things don't stay buried. A soft knock on the door made him open his eyes. A young alien stood there, humanoid enough that Jack could read nervousness in her posture. She wore the robes of the Talesian Union, a minor faction with almost no power in the council. Commander Harper, she said quietly, glancing down the corridor. My name is Lyra. I need to tell you something, and I don't have much time. Jack gestured for her to continue. The vote was decided before you arrived. The council never intended to accept Earth as equals. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. The Krillian Empire has already sent warships to your solar system. The ultimatum is just theater. They're going to invade Earth regardless of your answer. Jack felt something cold settle in his stomach. How long until they arrive? 3 days. Maybe less. Lyra looked at him with something like pity. I'm sorry. My people wanted to warn Earth, but we're too weak to oppose the council. I thought you should at least know the truth before. She stopped. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Krillian guards moving with purpose. Lyra's eyes went wide. They're coming for you. The council decided you're too dangerous to release. The door opened. 6 Krillian guards stood there, weapons drawn. Jack Harper, the lead guard, said, You are to be detained until Earth accepts the council's terms. Jack stood slowly. For just a moment, something changed in his eyes. The tired diplomat vanished, replaced by something ancient and cold. He looked at the guards the way a wolf looks at sheep. I was really hoping it wouldn't come to this, he said softly. Then everything went red. The first guard reached for Jack's shoulder. His hand never made it. Jack moved faster than anything human should move. He grabbed the guard's wrist, twisted it in a way that made bones crack like dry wood, and used the momentum to spin the massive alien into his companions. The guard's weapon discharged, burning a hole through another guard's armor. 18 seconds later, 6 Krillian elite soldiers lay dead in the corridor. Jack stood among them, breathing steady, not even winded. Blood spattered his gray diplomatic suit. In his hand was a plasma pistol he'd taken from one of the guards. He checked the charge and looked at Lyra, who stood frozen against the wall, her face pale with shock. Run, Jack told her. Get back to your quarters and lock the door. Don't come out until this is over. What are you? She whispered. Jack's expression softened for just a moment. I'm someone who tried very hard to be something else. Now go, Lyra ran. Alarms screamed through the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Jack heard more boots coming. Lots of them from multiple directions. Zenith Prime was massive, home to 10,000 aliens. It had security forces from a dozen different species. They would all be coming for him now. Good. That meant they were focused on him instead of planning Earth's destruction. Jack moved through the station like a ghost. He'd memorized every corridor during his weeks here, every junction, every maintenance shaft. He knew where the security cameras were and how to avoid them. Years ago, before he became Jack Harper the diplomat, he'd been trained to infiltrate and survive in hostile territory. Some skills never faded. He reached an access panel and pulled it open. Inside was a maintenance tunnel barely wide enough for a human. Jack crawled through, the sounds of searching soldiers growing distant behind him. The tunnel led down toward the station's lower levels where fewer people went. His communicator buzzed. Jack pulled it out and saw Admiral Kate Bishop's face on the screen. She was on Earth, probably in the command center under the Atlantic Ocean. Jack, we're getting reports. What's happening up there? The council set us up, Jack said quietly, still crawling through the tunnel. They were planning to invade Earth all along. The diplomatic meeting was just theater. When I figured it out, they tried to detain me. Kate's face went hard. Tried? There were complications. Jack reached the end of the tunnel and dropped down into a service corridor. How long until you can get ships here? 48 hours minimum. The fleet is scattered across the solar system. Jack, there are reports of casualties on the station. Multiple casualties. I know. How many were you? Jack was quiet for a moment. All of them. Kate closed her eyes. We told you to leave that behind. We gave you a new life so you wouldn't have to be that person anymore. They didn't give me a choice. Jack checked the corridor, saw it was empty, and started moving. I'm uploading something to you now. My personal logs from the meeting. Everything Lyra told me, all the evidence of their betrayal. Make it public. Let Earth know what's coming. What are you going to do? Buy you time. The council thinks I'm just a diplomat. They don't know who I used to be. I'm going to teach them, Jack paused. And Kate? Get our people ready. When I'm done here, the galaxy is going to remember why humanity kept me classified. He ended the call before she could respond. Jack moved deeper into the station's guts. He needed to reach the central computer core. Not to escape. Escape was impossible with the entire station locked down, but he could do something better. He could send a message. More guards appeared, these ones from the Vex Collective. Their cybernetic enhancements made them faster than the Krillians, harder to kill. Jack used their overconfidence against them. They expected a cornered diplomat, desperate and afraid. Instead, they found something that moved through them like a surgical knife, precise and merciless. The Vex were learning what the Krillians had learned. Jack Harper wasn't trapped in here with them. They were trapped in here with him. News of the fighting spread through the station like fire. Alien ambassadors locked themselves in their quarters. Station personnel evacuated to safe zones, but the security forces kept coming. The council had given them orders. Capture or kill the human. It didn't matter which. Jack reached a major intersection and stopped. 50 soldiers waited for him, arranged in tactical positions with overlapping fields of fire. They'd had time to prepare to set up proper defenses. This wasn't a fight he could win, so he didn't try to win it. Jack pulled a small device from his pocket and threw it into the intersection. The electromagnetic pulse device, hidden in what looked like a data storage unit, had made it through security because it read as harmless electronics. The pulse wouldn't hurt biological beings, but it would fry every electronic system in range. The lights went out. Weapons died. Armor lost power. In the darkness, Jack moved, when emergency lighting came on 30 seconds later. The intersection was empty except for unconscious soldiers and one human who was already 3 corridors away. He finally reached the central computer core. The door was locked naturally, but Jack had brought tools. Not weapons that security would have detected, but simple things. A piece of wire, a magnetic strip, knowledge of how Galactic Council computer systems worked. The door opened. The computer core was beautiful in its complexity, towers of crystal and light processing information from across known space. Jack sat at a terminal and began typing. His fingers moved fast, entering commands in 6 alien programming languages. He uploaded his military service record first. Every mission, every operation, every classified file that Earth's government had tried to bury. The galaxy was about to learn about the Outer Rim Wars, about the conflicts humanity had fought before joining galactic society. They were about to learn about the soldier who'd ended those wars. They were about to learn about the Baba Yaga. The name had started as a joke, an old Earth fairy tale about a witch who lived in the forest and ate people who bothered her. But during the wars, it had become something else. A ghost story. A nightmare that enemy soldiers told each other to explain why entire battalions would go silent, why fortified positions would fall overnight, why leaders would be found dead in locked rooms. Earth's government had buried the Baba Yaga after the wars ended. They'd given Jack Harper a new identity and sent him into diplomatic service, hoping he could help humanity build a peaceful reputation. For 15 years, it had worked. Now the galaxy would know the truth. Humanity had monsters too. They just kept them on a leash. Jack finished uploading and sat back. Messages were already spreading across the galactic network. He could see the data flowing, jumping from system to system faster than light, carrying the truth to every species in the council. Footsteps behind him. Jack turned to see 100 soldiers filling the corridor outside, all of them with weapons aimed at him. The Krillian commander spoke through a translator. "Surrender, human. You cannot win. Jack stood slowly, hands visible, no weapons drawn. He smiled, and it wasn't the diplomat's smile anymore. It was something older and much less kind. "I'm not trying to win," Jack said. "I'm trying to send a message, and I think it's been received." On Earth, Admiral Kate Bishop watched the data streaming in from Zenith Prime. She read the service record, saw the missions, understood exactly what Jack Harper had been before he became a diplomat. She activated the emergency broadcast system and began speaking to all of humanity at once. "This is Admiral Bishop. Earth is about to be invaded. But before they come for us, they made a mistake. They attacked our diplomat. They woke something up that we'd tried very hard to put to sleep." She paused. "Jack Harper is buying us time. We're going to use it. Battle stations, everyone. Show them what humanity looks like when we stop being polite." On Zenith Prime, Jack Harper stood surrounded by 100 guns and smiled. The hunt was just beginning. The 100 guns opened fire at once. Jack was already moving. He dropped through a maintenance hatch he'd positioned himself over, falling 10 feet into the level below. Plasma bolts burned the air where he'd been standing. He hit the ground rolling, came up running, and disappeared into the maze of corridors before the soldiers could react. The station-wide alert changed. Every screen on Zenith Prime showed the same message. The human diplomat was now designated a hostile threat. All personnel were ordered to shelter in place. All security forces were ordered to hunt him down. They were hunting the wrong way. Jack moved through areas the station's designers never meant for anyone to see. Service tunnels barely tall enough to crawl through. Air circulation shafts, the spaces between bulkheads where maintenance robots did their work. He'd studied the station's layout for weeks, not because he planned to fight, but because planning for the worst was who he was. Behind him, soldiers searched in organized patterns. They had numbers, technology, and knowledge of the station. But Jack had something better. He had experience being hunted by people who wanted him dead, and he'd always survived. In the council chamber, alien ambassadors watched security feeds with growing horror. The human moved like water, flowing through their defenses, appearing where he shouldn't be, vanishing before they could respond. Bodies piled up. Not many. Jack was being selective, but enough to make his point. "How is one human doing this?" an ambassador from the Hive Collective demanded. The insect-like alien's wings buzzed with agitation. Lyra stood at the back of the chamber. She'd been summoned to explain her conversation with the human. Now she watched the screens and felt sick. "I found his service record in the data he uploaded. Before he was a diplomat, he was a soldier. A special kind of soldier. All soldiers are trained," the Krillian ambassador growled. "This is different." "Yes," Lyra said quietly. "He was trained to do exactly what he's doing now. To survive alone behind enemy lines. To spread fear. To make entire armies afraid of one person." She looked at the council members. His own people called him the Baba Yaga. It was a warning to their enemies. You don't fight the Baba Yaga. You run and you hope he doesn't follow. The Vex ambassador turned its mechanical eyes on her. Then why did Earth send him as a diplomat? Because they were trying to prove they'd changed. That they could be peaceful. Lyra gestured at the screens. "You didn't let them," alarms shrieked. Jack had been spotted in the station's hydroponics section, a huge area where plants grew to provide oxygen and food. Security forces rushed there from 3 directions, determined to trap him. They found bodies. 2 Krillian guards killed quickly and quietly, but no Jack Harper. "He's playing with us," one soldier said to his commander. "Then we change the game," the commander replied. "Seal all exits from this section. Fill it with security. He can't hide if there's nowhere to hide." 200 soldiers entered the hydroponics section. Trees and plants created a small forest inside the station. The air smelled like earth, green and alive. The soldiers spread out, checking every corner, every shadow. Jack watched them from above. He'd climbed into the support structure holding the artificial sun that gave light to the plants. From here, he could see everything. He counted soldiers, tracked their movements, planned his next steps. He could kill them all eventually. That wasn't arrogance, just mathematics. But killing wasn't the point. The point was making sure they stayed focused on him instead of Earth. Every minute he kept them busy was another minute for Admiral Bishop to prepare Earth's defenses. Jack dropped from his perch onto a soldier at the edge of the group. "Quick strike, man down, take his weapon. Roll into cover before others could react." 3 quick shots, 3 more soldiers wounded but not dead. Jack wasn't trying to kill them all. He was trying to terrify them. It was working. The soldiers' discipline began to crack. They jumped at shadows. They fired at movement that turned out to be plant swaying. They started making mistakes, and Jack used every mistake against them. Pull back, the commander finally ordered. Seal the section. Vent the atmosphere. We'll kill him that way. The soldiers retreated. Bulkheads slammed shut, sealing the hydroponics section. Jack felt the pressure change as air pumps reversed, pulling atmosphere out of the room. In 5 minutes, there wouldn't be enough oxygen to breathe. Jack walked calmly to an emergency locker he'd noted during his earlier exploration. Inside was a breather mask designed for Krillians. It didn't fit human faces well, but he made it work. Then he sat down under a tree and waited. Outside, the commander watched the oxygen levels drop to 0. Give it 10 minutes to be sure, then we go back in. 10 minutes passed. Soldiers entered the hydroponics section carefully, weapons ready. They found the bodies they'd left behind. They found the Krillian breather mask empty and discarded. They didn't find Jack Harper. How? The commander whispered. His second officer pointed up. A ventilation shaft cover hung open. He went into the air system before we sealed the room. In the council chamber, the ambassadors argued. Half wanted to continue the hunt. Half wanted to negotiate. All of them were scared. We should release him, Lyra argued. Let him return to Earth. This proves nothing except that we made a terrible mistake. This proves humans are dangerous, the Krillian ambassador snarled. Exactly as we said. We cannot let this creature leave. What message would that send? The message that the Galactic Council makes mistakes and has the wisdom to correct them, Lyra shot back. Instead, you're proving that the Council acts like tyrants who silence anyone who exposes the truth. Enough. The head counselor raised a hand for silence. We have reinforcements coming from nearby systems. Fresh troops who aren't exhausted or demoralized. We will contain the human and... Every screen in the chamber switched to show a new image. Jack Harper stood in what looked like the station's main power distribution center. He looked directly at the camera. I know you're watching, Jack said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. I know you think I'm trapped here. That eventually you'll overwhelm me with numbers. He held up a small device. This is a plasma charge. Military grade. Powerful enough to blow through the containment on this station's main reactor. If it goes off, Zenith Prime becomes a small sun for about 3 seconds. Then it becomes debris. The chamber went absolutely silent. I don't want to do that, Jack continued. I came here for peace. You chose war. But I'm not going to blow up 10,000 innocent people just to make a point. He set the device down carefully. So here's what's going to happen. Your fleet attacking Earth is going to turn around now, or I'm going to start targeting the ships carrying your families. He's bluffing, the Krillian ambassador said. He doesn't have the resources. I uploaded my complete service record earlier. Jack interrupted as if he could hear them. Maybe he'd hacked the communication system. Read it. Read about the orbital strike I called down on the colony at Proxima 7. Read about the convoy I destroyed at the Belt. Read about all the things I did in the name of peace. His eyes went cold. I am very, very good at making ships disappear, and I have nothing left to lose. Admiral Bishop's face appeared on another screen broadcasting from Earth. Council members, this is humanity's official response to your ultimatum. We reject your terms. We will defend ourselves, and if you continue this path, we will show you why Earth kept people like Jack Harper hidden. She paused. He's not our only monster. He's just the one you woke up. The head counselor looked around the chamber at faces filled with fear and uncertainty. The Krillian ambassador tried to maintain his composure, but even he looked shaken. Perhaps, the counselor said slowly, we should reconsider our approach. On Zenith Prime, Jack Harper picked up the plasma charge and put it back in his pocket. It wasn't armed. He'd been bluffing about blowing up the reactor, but they didn't need to know that. He sat down with his back against the wall, closed his eyes, and waited. Either they'd talk or they'd attack. Either way, he'd bought Earth enough time. The hunt was over. Now came the hard part, peace. The Krillian fleet commander stared at the orders on his screen and couldn't believe what he was reading. After 3 days of hard travel toward Earth's solar system, after preparing his warriors for glorious battle, he was being told to turn around. This is madness, he growled to his second officer. We have 200 ships. Earth has barely 50. We could crush them. The order comes from the Supreme Council, his officer replied carefully. The situation has changed. The commander pulled up the reports from Zenith Prime. One single human had fought his way through the station's entire security force and held the council hostage. The body count was over 100. The images showed corridors turned into war zones, but it was the service record that made the commander's blood run cold. The human called Jack Harper had done things during Earth's internal wars that seemed impossible. Entire military installations destroyed by one person. Leaders assassinated in their own headquarters. Fleets ambushed and scattered. The humans had a word for him, ghost. Something that shouldn't exist but did anyway. Turn the fleet around, the commander finally ordered. We're going home. On Zenith Prime, Jack sat in the power distribution center and ate from a ration pack he'd taken from a storage locker. The food wasn't meant for humans, but it would keep him alive. He'd gone 3 days without real sleep, running on training and old memories of worse situations. His communicator buzzed. He checked it carefully, making sure it wasn't some trick to trace his location. The message was from Admiral Bishop, encrypted with codes only the two of them knew. The Krillian fleet is turning back. Other council fleets are holding position. Nobody's attacking Earth. Whatever you did, it worked. Jack typed back slowly. How long until you can get me out of here? 2 ships just entered the system. ETA to the station is 6 hours. Hold on, Jack, you're coming home. Jack closed his eyes and let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. 6 more hours. He could do 6 hours. In the council chamber, the arguments had turned into chaos. The Krillian ambassador demanded they continue the attack despite the fleet's recall. The Vex ambassador calculated odds and recommended immediate withdrawal from any conflict with humanity. Smaller factions argued among themselves about who to support. Lyra watched it all and felt disgusted. These were the leaders of galactic civilization, and they behaved like children fighting over toys. Enough, the head counselor finally shouted. We need to address the reality of our situation. We attempted to subjugate a species we thought was weak. We were wrong. The question now is how to proceed without destroying everything we've built. We could negotiate, Lyra suggested. Offer Earth actual membership, equal status, no conditions. After what that creature did to our people. The Krillian ambassador's voice dripped with rage. You would reward violence? You started the violence, Lyra shot back. You sent fleets to invade their world. You tried to enslave them. Jack Harper defended his species. What did you expect him to do? Smile and thank you? The human is a monster. The human is what you made him be, Lyra said. Read the reports from Earth. He'd been a diplomat for 15 years. Peaceful, patient, kind. He didn't want to fight. You forced him. She looked around at all the ambassadors. And now you know the truth. Humanity can be peaceful, but they're not weak. There's a difference. The Vex ambassador spoke up, its mechanical voice thoughtful. The data suggests humanity deliberately presents a peaceful face while maintaining significant military capability. This is strategic deception. Or it's called being prepared, Lyra countered. Do any of your species completely disarm? No, you all keep weapons in case of war. Humanity is doing the same thing. They just happen to be better at it than you expected. An ambassador from the Talesian Union stood up. I move that we offer Earth full membership with no conditions. We admit our mistake and start fresh. Seconded, another voice called out. The vote was close. Many ambassadors still feared humanity, still wanted to maintain their superiority, but enough were scared of what would happen if they continued down this path. Earth had one Jack Harper that they knew about. How many more did they have hidden? The motion passed by 3 votes. Relief washed through the chamber. It wasn't perfect, wasn't even ideal, but it was something. A way forward that didn't involve more bloodshed. Now we just need to tell the human, the head counselor said, assuming he doesn't kill us all first. Deep in the station, Jack knew something had changed. The soldiers hunting him had pulled back. The patrols had stopped. Either they were planning something big or they'd given up. His instinct said it was the latter. He'd broken their will to fight. He made his way through the maintenance tunnels toward the docking bay where Earth ships would arrive. It took 4 hours of careful movement, avoiding the few remaining patrols. When he finally reached an observation window overlooking the bay, he saw it empty except for usual traffic. Good. They weren't planning an ambush. 2 ships appeared in the distance, growing larger as they approached. Earth vessels, clean and new, bristling with weapons that looked primitive compared to galactic standards but worked just fine. Jack felt a wave of homesickness so strong it almost hurt. The ships docked. Marines poured out, weapons ready, forming a defensive perimeter. Then Admiral Kate Bishop stepped onto the station, looking calm and dangerous in her uniform. Jack activated his communicator.
Kate, I'm above you, observation deck 3.
No hostiles in the area. Kate looked up and saw him through the window. Her expression was hard to read. Relief? Anger? Probably both. Come down here, Jack, let's go home. Jack made his way to the docking bay. When he stepped out of the access corridor, every Marine turned to look at him. He must have been quite a sight. 3 days of fighting had left his diplomatic suit torn and bloody. His face was bruised, his hands cut. He looked like he'd been through a war because he had. Kate walked up to him. For a moment, Jack thought she might salute. Instead, she punched him in the shoulder, hard. "That's for making me worry," she said. Then she pulled him into a brief hug. "And that's for coming home alive." "The council?" Jack asked. "They want to talk, officially. They're offering Earth real membership, no strings attached." Kate smiled slightly. Funny how their attitude changed once they realized we could fight back. They're scared. Good. Fear is honest. Better than the fake respect they were showing before. Kate gestured toward the ship. "Come on. We've got a medical team waiting, and you need about 3 days of sleep." Jack started toward the ship, then stopped. He turned back to look at the station, at the massive structure floating in space. Somewhere in there, Lyra was probably watching. She'd risked everything to warn him. He hoped she'd be okay. "What are you thinking?" Kate asked. "That I tried really hard to be someone different," Jack said quietly. "To prove that people can change, that humanity had evolved past its violent history. And then the galaxy forced me to become the monster again. You did what you had to do to protect Earth. I know, but that doesn't make it feel better." Jack looked at his hands, remembering all the things he'd done with them over the years. "Do you think they'll ever let us forget? All the violence, all the death?" Kate was quiet for a moment. "No, but maybe that's good. Maybe it's important that they remember, not to fear us, but to respect us, to understand that we choose peace but we're not helpless." She started walking again. "Come on. Earth is waiting for its hero." "I'm not a hero," Jack said, following her. "Tell that to the 8 billion people you saved." They boarded the ship. The airlock sealed behind them. As Earth's vessels pulled away from Zenith Prime, Jack looked out the window one last time. He'd come here as a diplomat, hoping to build bridges between humanity and the galaxy. Instead, he'd reminded everyone why bridges exist in the first place. Because there are monsters in the dark. And sometimes the monsters protect you. The ship jumped to faster than light travel, and Zenith Prime disappeared into the distance, already becoming a memory. But the message Jack Harper had sent would echo through the galaxy for a long, long time. 3 months after Zenith Prime, Jack Harper stood in his apartment in Seattle and watched the rain fall. It was early morning, the city still asleep. He'd been home for weeks now, but sleep still came hard. Every time he closed his eyes, he was back on the station, moving through corridors, making decisions that left people dead. The doctors said it would fade with time. They'd said that 15 years ago, too. It never really faded. You just learned to live with it. His communicator buzzed. A message from Admiral Bishop. "Turn on the news." Jack activated the screen on his wall. Every channel showed the same thing. The Galactic Council was dissolving. In its place, a new organization was forming. The Galactic Coalition, they were calling it. And humanity had a permanent seat with full veto power. The news showed footage from the signing ceremony. Alien ambassadors from 50 species, all agreeing to a new framework for interstellar relations. Lyra was there, representing the Talesian Union. She looked proud. Jack's door chimed. He opened it to find Kate standing there with coffee and breakfast sandwiches. "Figured you'd be watching," she said, walking in without waiting for an invitation. "Big day, is it?" Jack took the coffee gratefully. "We're still the same people we were yesterday. The galaxy is still the same galaxy, but the rules changed." Kate sat down on his couch. "That matters. The old council operated on the assumption that might makes right. The strong species dominated the weak ones. We proved that humanity isn't weak, so now they have to deal with us as equals. We proved I could kill a lot of their people. You proved that we fight when we need to," Kate corrected. "There's a difference, Jack. You didn't start that fight. You finished it." Jack sat down next to her and stared at the news. They were showing his service record again, the parts that had been declassified. Earth's government had decided the galaxy needed to know the truth, that humanity had soldiers like Jack Harper, but chose to send diplomats instead, that their capacity for violence was matched by their capacity for restraint. Do you think it's true? Jack asked. That we've changed? Or are we just better at hiding what we are? Kate was quiet for a long moment. I think we're complicated. Just like every species, we can be violent and peaceful, kind and cruel, depending on the situation. The difference is we're trying to be better. That's more than most species can say. The news shifted to show footage from Earth. Cities celebrating the new treaty. People dancing in streets relieved that the threat of invasion was over. Children holding signs that said things like, "Peace through strength" and "Thank you, Jack Harper." Jack looked away from the screen. I don't want to be their hero. Too late. You already are. Kate finished her coffee and stood up. There's something else. The coalition wants to establish a formal diplomatic corps. They're asking Earth to lead the security committee, and they specifically requested you. No. Jack, I said no. Jack's voice was firm. I did what I had to do. I'm not spending the rest of my life being the galaxy's boogeyman. Find someone else. Kate studied him for a moment. What if I told you it would be different this time? That you'd be training diplomats, not fighting wars. Teaching them how to spot threats, how to stay safe, how to survive if things go wrong. I'd say you're trying to manipulate me. I'd say I'm trying to use your experience to help people. Kate moved to the door. Think about it. You spent 15 years trying to prove humanity could be peaceful. You did that, Jack, but now they know we can be dangerous too. Maybe the next step is teaching them how to balance both. She left before Jack could respond. The rain kept falling. Jack sat alone in his apartment and thought about what Kate had said. For 15 years he'd tried to bury the Baba Yaga, to become someone new. Then one bad day had brought it all back. But maybe Kate was right. Maybe the point wasn't to pretend the monster never existed. Maybe the point was to control it, to use it only when absolutely necessary, to be the person who could do terrible things but chose not to. His communicator buzzed again. This time it was a message from Lyra. Hello, Jack. I hope Earth is treating you well. I wanted to thank you for what you did. Not the fighting, though, that saved many lives, but for being willing to try peace first, for giving us a chance to be better. The new coalition isn't perfect, but it's a start. We're going to need good people to help build it, people who understand both peace and war. I hope you'll consider joining us. With respect, Lyra. Jack read the message 3 times. Then he stood up and walked to his window. The city was waking up now. People going to work, living their lives, unaware of how close they'd come to losing everything. He'd fought for them. He'd killed for them. He'd become the monster again so they wouldn't have to. Maybe that was enough. Maybe he could rest now. Let someone else carry the burden, or maybe Kate and Lyra were right. Maybe the galaxy needed people who understood both sides. Who could talk first but fight if necessary? Who knew the cost of violence and would do anything to avoid it? Jack picked up his communicator and typed a message to Kate. Tell me more about this diplomatic corps. Her response came back almost instantly. I knew you'd say yes. Meeting tomorrow, 1000 hours. Bring your experience and leave your guilt at the door. We're building something new. Jack smiled slightly. It wasn't his diplomat smile or his soldier smile. It was something in between. Something real. 6 months later, the Earth Diplomatic Training Center opened in Geneva. Jack Harper led the program, teaching young diplomats from Earth and other species how to navigate the complex politics of the new coalition. He taught them protocol and negotiation. He taught them how to spot deception and avoid traps. And he taught them how to survive when things went wrong. The graduates called themselves Harpers, and the name spread through the galaxy. When a Harper walked into a negotiation, both sides knew they were dealing with someone who understood peace and war, someone who would always choose peace but could handle war if necessary. The Krillian Empire tried to save face by claiming they'd never really intended to invade Earth. Nobody believed them, but the coalition let it slide. Better to let them keep their dignity than to create a permanent enemy. The Vex Collective became humanity's strongest ally. Their calculating nature appreciated how humans thought strategically, always planning for the worst while hoping for the best, and Lyra's Talesian Union found new strength by aligning with Earth. The small faction that had risked everything to warn Jack Harper now had the backing of humanity's military and diplomatic Resources. A year after Zenith Prime, Jack returned to the station for a memorial service. They were honoring all who'd died during what the galaxy now called the 3 days, both aliens and the parts of their security forces that Jack had fought. He stood before the memorial wall and read the names. Each one was a person with a life, a family, dreams, and fears. He'd taken that from them because they'd given him no choice. That didn't make it hurt less. Lyra found him there, standing in silence. "Do you regret it?" she asked quietly. "Every day," Jack admitted. "But I'd do it again if I had to. That's what makes it bearable. Knowing it mattered. It did matter. The galaxy is different now because of what happened here. Better, I think. Not perfect, but better." Jack looked at her. "You warned me. You risked everything to give me a chance." "Why?" Lyra smiled. "Because someone had to do the right thing. The Council was wrong, and I couldn't just stand by and watch them destroy a species for the crime of being strong. We're supposed to be better than that. Are we? Better, I mean. We're trying. That's the important part." Lyra gestured around the station. "Zenith Prime is neutral ground again. Real neutral this time, not the fake neutrality we had before. Species meet here and actually talk instead of plotting against each other. It's slow progress, but it's progress." They walked through the station together. Jack saw aliens from dozens of species moving freely, talking, trading, learning about each other. It was what the station was supposed to be all along. His communicator buzzed. A message from the training center. One of his students had successfully negotiated a trade dispute that had been frozen for years. Small victories, but they added up. "I should get back to Earth," Jack said. "I have a class to teach tomorrow." "Before you go," Lyra said, "I have something for you." She handed him a small data chip. "It's a list. Every species in the Coalition, their histories, their conflicts, their fears. Understanding them is the first step to lasting peace." Jack took the chip. "Thank you." "No, Jack, thank you." Lyra smiled. "For being the monster when we needed one, and the teacher when we needed that more." Jack returned to Earth, to his apartment in Seattle, to his students who would carry humanity's message to the galaxy. He still had nightmares about Zenith Prime. He still woke up thinking about the people who'd died, but he also had something new. Purpose. Not the purpose of a soldier or a diplomat, but something in between. A bridge between two worlds, helping both sides understand each other. One evening, as rain fell on Seattle, Jack sat at his desk and began writing. Not a report or a lesson plan, but a story. His story, starting with a young soldier who thought violence was the answer, and ending with a tired man who'd learned that the strongest weapon was knowing when not to use weapons at all. He titled it, "The Monster Who Learned to Sleep." And as he wrote, Jack Harper smiled. Because for the first time in his long, violent life, he believed the words were tea.